We're live. All right. Woohoo! Oh, Monkey Cam needs a little adjustment there. There we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Houston. We have a problem. We are live. We're doing it. It is after dark because it is another hot one. I just did not want to be in this office during the middle of the day because it is a brutal. So, welcome. Eventful day. Looking at the market, GME, AMC, and BBBY all had fantastic days. I think Bed Bath & Beyond will continue. Maybe a little more green tomorrow for AMC and GME before they try to hammer it down before Friday. If both of those push another $5 higher, then I think they're going to have to start delta hedging for all the calls that are going to go in the money on Friday. So it might continue through the week. If they can keep it from going up another $5 or so, or like AMC breaking 30 or GME breaking 50, then they'll probably hammer it down because they'll want to avoid having to delta hedge and go out and buy. So they'll try to push the price down if they can. We'll see how successful they are at it. I don't know. But Bed Bath & Beyond doing a decent, steady rip and hold, and after hours flew again. I had some leaps for January that $15 leaps for January that I sold on Friday so I could get some AMC and GME calls. Kind of wish I held on to those because they're flying too. But anyway, you know me, I like to miss boats. Also, Donald Trump had Mar-a-Lago raided today by a whole bunch of FBI agents. So he's in Trump Tower in New York and back at Bedminster in New Jersey. And they came and they took everything. They broke into a safe. They took what was in there. They, I guess, took a whole bunch of documents, didn't look at them, just emptied out all the offices, took everything, and split. That's a very big deal. To get to that level where a federal judge would sign off, they have to show pretty solid evidence that they know exactly what they're going to find there, which means they probably had somebody testify to the fact exactly where they would find something. The rumor is under the pretext that Trump had removed documents that belong to the National Archives, and it's a big deal. They did find documents belonging to the National Archives after he moved down to Mar-a-Lago and left the White House, and he returned some, and they're like, okay, where's the rest? He's like, oh, don't worry talking about the rest. I don't know. Under U.S. Code 18, Section 201, if you are caught with documents that are meant to belong to the U.S. Archive, you are automatically forfeit. You are not allowed to hold elected office under any capacity in the United States. It's a pretty steep penalty. You cannot run for office. So if they found something that was taken from the White House that belongs to the National Archives, Trump automatically cannot run for office ever again for as long as he lives. It's a pretty big deal. So I hope he's thinking about that because, oops. Anyway, I have an idea. How about this? All right, yeah, baby. Okay, that is off. Jason Blackwell, Houston. I have $10 calls for Bed Bath & Beyond leaps. 10 contracts. They're already in the money. How do I factor in RC's $80 calls and how high I let mine ride? Well, if the price gets to $80, each one of those calls is worth $8,000, more or less, right? Depending on how steep the curve is when it's flying there, it could be worth $9,000 or $10,000. But just assume that it's up $1,000 for every $10 you climb, plus a little premium for the contract itself. So you got yourself 80 grand, more or less, if that reaches $80. And I think RC's calls, what he bought was the highest possible offer at the time, means that he's expecting it to go well beyond 80. And if it's a squeeze situation, and we've seen these squeeze situations, costs hit 127, GME hit 480, and so on, that he might be expecting something significantly higher than that. And if it reaches triple digits, you're looking at $10,000 a contract, $20,000 a contract, $30,000 a contract. That could be some serious money. I wish I had held on to my Bed Bath & Beyond and just had fewer AMC and GME calls. They put it that way. I had $10, $15 calls, and I sold them to make a quick buck today. I did all right with my calls today. I was up a lot at one point, and then I wavered, and then it dropped, and it halved again. But anyway, I was still up today. It was good. Yeah. So personally, wait and perhaps add a few more at 15 or a few more at 20. Just kind of gobble them up as you can. If you can get, dozens, and the price flies, and they're worth 8,000 each, you just, you're set for a few years, right? Like, you can live off that for a couple of years, and you can reinvest it. You can do whatever you like. Good for you. Way to get those, Jason. I love it. All right. Thank you for the super chat. And let's. My guess is, because I did post this like 45 minutes early, that I'm starting out 45 minutes behind the chat, and it looks like I am. Okay, so Brand T, Houston. Why is there nothing in the news about the plunge protection team? A guest on Bill Maher's show in June brought up the government buying stock, and everyone dismissed her and her point outright. All you have to do is look at the assets, how much assets the Fed has. We can search for it right now. Oh shit, I just realized. The regular intro, I think, is still on. I don't know if I hit that one. Ah, crap. Okay. It's alright. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Chrome. Go there. Nope, that's the wrong one. There. That one? No, that's the wrong one. That one. That's the one I want. Okay. There we go. Alright, so. Oh yeah, if you go to google.com, you type in cat, you can make cat paws. Boopity boopity boop boop boop. Whee! I make cat paws go everywhere. Woohoo! It's fun. There's a little button right there that's the cat paw button, and once you click that, cat paws go everywhere. Okay, what was I doing? Oh, I was going to go to Federal Reserve. Okay. This one I want? No, I want the balance sheet. Yeah, that one. Okay, give me. There we go. Okay, so the Federal Reserve has over $8 trillion in 8 million millions of assets. Now, the plunge protection team is essentially adding to this stuff. You can see that there's like a weekly kind of little bump, and since June, they claim they're going to stop purchasing these assets, and that they were going to start doing quantitative tightening, which means they're going to sell these assets back to the market, and it has sort of leveled off, essentially. I guess. When was that? April 18th. It was almost 9 trillion, and since now we're at 8.8 trillion. We went from 8.9 to 9 trillion. But in June they said they're going to start quantitative tightening, selling the stuff off, and then they added like another $40 billion in assets. I think the big problem is that they're trying for the soft landing for the economy, and in trying for the soft landing for the economy, they have to buoy the prices of bonds and stocks, because if they just let the bottom fall out, then everyone panics and they freak out, and that would be that. And so they say they're going to sell these assets, but then they look at like the SPY have a bad day. They go, oh no, and they gobble up a few more. But supposedly, their goal is in the next 2 years to sell off all $8.8 trillion of these assets. They were going to start out at like 45 billion a month, work their way up to 100 billion a month, then 200 billion a month. The problem is that when they start selling this stuff, this 8.8 trillion dollars in assets are actually going to be worth like 4 trillion, because they will flood the market with securities that no one wants and crash the prices of bonds and stocks. So I think they're just scared to do it. They say they're going to do it, but then they're like, oh, I'm scared. I can't hit that button. But you can see, like, March 2020, they went from 4 trillion, and in June they're up to 7 trillion. And it's been a pretty steady gain until April of this year, and then it kind of flattens out. We had similar gains, the collapse of the economy in 2008, boom, and then fairly flat little gains. We had some steady gains through 2012, while the real estate market was still picking back up, and then it was fairly flat. And even they tried to get rid of some, but then COVID hit, and they had to go back and protect that plunge. So it's there. They're still buying stuff. They're trying to sell it all, but I think they know that they're going to screw the economy if they do. Okay. Take my penance. Okay. Turn that button off. I'll click. Nope. Turn off. Click. There we go. Okay. All right. B-ball. 3710. Why can't any bill that gets passed stand on its own? The public never knows what the heck gets passed in the House. When did all that get out of hand? Well, there was the line item veto that the Congress had passed and given power to the president for the line item veto, so that he could look at one of these giant bills and go, no, but I will sign everything else. And it was popular. People loved it. But a court, for some reason, ruled that Congress didn't have the power to give the president that ability. They took away the line item veto. So now bills, in order to get any attention to a bill, it has to be either something really tiny, like, I don't know, naming a post office, or something huge that includes just billions and billions and billions of dollars, and everyone will try to sweeten it with their little pork if they can. Why? Because they have to win elections, right? So if you are a representative from, I don't know, East Bumfuck, Tennessee, right? And you promise your impoverished residents that you're going to make sure they get jobs, and that they have a solid future, and that's why they should vote for you. Then you got to come through with something. So they will figure out a way to, I don't know, fund a wildlife reserve, or figure out how to get a local company a contract to build something, or get a bridge constructed, or get the headquarters for some agency in their district, or figure out a way to get like a local company a NASA contract, and so on. And they will then figure out ways to slide this stuff into bills. They'll say, okay, I'll vote for the James Webb Space Telescope, but you have to do the mirror coding in my district in Colorado. And a bunch of representatives go, all right, fine, well, I'm not do the mirror coding district in Colorado. And then they go to the next representative, like, okay, we want you to vote yes on the James Webb Telescope. I'm a no vote. And they're like, why? Well, because the mirror coding contract went to Colorado, so I need something from my district. I'm like, fine. We'll make sure that the shaping of the mirror happens in your district in Alabama. I'm like, well, thank you very much. Okay, you got my vote. And this is how they have to get things done. Whereas other nations have proportional representation, and you have to form coalitions, which usually means the acquiescence is to a semi-popular outsider group. So you have to form this coalition, like with the Greens or the conservatives or what it happens to be, and you have to acquiesce to those folks. But it is a faster process because in order to keep the coalition together, you've got to agree to the terms of those minority groups, the coalition. So the minority groups end up having some solid power. That's basically where we are. Monty, was the FBI going to raid Hillary Clinton, Hunter Biden, the SEC, and DTCC? Never. Because first of all, Hunter Biden is an elected official. Hillary Clinton doesn't appear to have anything to hide. And the SEC works with the FBI. But the DTCC is really powerful, and they should get raided. But so far, no judge has ever honored a subpoena against them, so I don't know if anyone will sign off on the DTCC. My guess is the DTCC probably has like the scariest assassin squad in the world, and they just show up to your house at night and go, "You aren't going to make us enforce that subpoena," and the judge goes, "All right." I don't know. Okay. All right. Nick M. Houston. I was listening to Dave Lau earlier, and it seems he's not as confident as most of us about the tremendous amount of synthetics in naked shorts. Your thoughts? Is it possible? Just maybe the market is so screwed up every direction that things that seem obvious to us aren't reality. Well, you and I aren't selling. The millions of holders of these meme stocks aren't selling. And yet, we buy more, right? We buy more. Every day we buy more. We buy a little more here, buy a little more there, buy a little more here, buy a little more there. And we're not selling. And yet, every week, it seems millions of stocks trade. Millions of contracts or shares from contracts go in the money and must be swapped back and forth and distributed. And yet, how are companies owning, 100%, 130%, 300% of the float in some cases, if there aren't just cajillions of naked shares? How are we having these T35 dates where not enough volume happens to make up for the amount of shares that were failure to deliver? When are they covering these things? How are they covering these things? We've got polling data showing that there's an obscene number of ownership of shares. We have census data from brokerages in Europe. And we've got volume data. I mean, Friday and today, 130 million AMC shares traded. So 1/3 of the entire float of AMC trade, or sorry, 2/3, I guess, 60% almost of the entire AMC float traded Friday and Monday. Really? Did it? No. Those are all sorts of naked shares. Those are high frequency trading. It is shenanigans. There's all sorts of shenanigans in there. So I think there's way more shares out there than anyone lets on. And the derivatives market is where it's all being hidden in these swaps. Jason Blackwell, Houston, remember the days when you would buy stocks and if your portfolio moved more than 5% in a month, you were excited? Those were the days, weren't they, monkey butts? Yeah, those were the days. Yes. She remembers. Pepperidge Farm remembers. Mo, as for your ass, Nick M, I agree with you. What you mean about Dave Lauer. I felt as if he don't believe in what we've been saying all this time. Yeah. I mean, I like Dave Lauer. He seems like a nice enough dude. But some people, they just get worn down. I totally get it. You're like, oh, it's been taking a while. And if what everyone's been saying is true, why hasn't it happened yet? Fuckery, that's why. If there wasn't a boatload of naked shares, then why the hell did DTCC go out of its way to ignore the filing for GameStop and tell all the brokers to make it a forward split and not to make it a share dividend that's distributed by the DTCC? Why, if there aren't a cajillion shares, then that people aren't willing to sell, then when there's glitches in the market, the ask orders suddenly appear at $600,000. Right? If there's all these naked shares, if the naked shares weren't all out there or weren't being generated by market makers and short hedge funds, the price on these stocks would be absolutely insane. The fact that they haven't been able to create nakeds for Things like these Chinese IPOs have happened, all of them just gone bonkers. Seems to be proof that if they have the ability to make nakeds, they can keep the price suppressed pretty easily. And when they don't have the ability to make nakeds, the price screams. If you think about the market and the number of shares available for stocks, and then compare them to crypto and the number of coins available for the various crypto coins, right? If there's 20 million Bitcoins, and they can make Bitcoin worth $20,000 to $60,000 each, why can't a stock, a random stock that has a float of 20 million, be $20,000 to $60,000? You can get dividends from a stock. You can own real property from a stock. You don't own shit from Bitcoin. So, what is the tangible there? The tangible is you can't naked short the Bitcoin. You can naked short the stock all day long and dilute the float, and that's what they do. Anatomy of a short attack. They've been doing it for 30 years. Ever since they moved to the fast system and discovered they could easily create nakeds and short things, and then punitively take stocks down to just nothing by brute force, regardless of the fundamentals of the company. They chose to do that because it's easy money. As long as you can destroy wealth, you can make it in this economy. And something should change, man. Okay. Latinum, are you still bullish on MMTLP? If so, why? MMTLP apparently, I guess, once they get approval from the SEC, is going private. And when a company goes private, every single solitary short must be closed. So we'll see if there was way too many torch shares out there. And when it goes private and they sell that oil company, I think tens of dollars is what each one of those $1.35 shares are going to be worth. So I'm waiting. I got my 1,200 of them. I want to know what's going to come next. Okay. People are asking about the margin call for Susquehanna. I don't buy it. I think that was a Photoshop. Because it looked like the headline, the header for the margin call for Robinhood back in January 21, which resulted in turn off the buy button, and I think people just kind of changed the numbers around without showing the rest of the email. I don't think it's true. I don't think they got margin called. Jesse Hartman, more money to Ukraine. I know you don't love Biden, but come on, Inflation Reduction Bill, discuss please. Inflation Reduction Bill I think is pretty decent. Cinema and a few others took out some of the good stuff. Like I think we should have had the what was it, the deferred interest tax credit. I think that should have gone away because hedge fund managers receive bonuses and salary, and I think that should be taxed at 37% like anyone else. But instead they get to tax it as if it's long-term gains at 20% or below, long-term capital gains. And no, tax those billionaires. They're still going to have billions of dollars afterwards. And all they're going to do with it is screw us over some more and stick it in the Cayman Islands. So, yeah, tax them. Get everything you can out of those guys. But it's going to result in basically creating a domestic market for semiconductors, which is a pretty good idea, especially if China decides to invade Taiwan and then all semiconductors no longer get shipped out. So we might, for national security reasons, you probably should have access to some of those things. There are sketchy things in there, like weird requirements about offering oil and gas leases every year on federal lands of certain amounts, while also like trying to be green. You'll be able to get subsidies to buy a used electric car. So now today there's like a $7,000 subsidy that may have expired recently to get an electric car. So to encourage people to stop driving gas powered cars. But now you could go out and buy an electric car and get like a $4,000 subsidy to do so from the government. So that might encourage people to jump into the electric car market who otherwise couldn't afford a brand new one, but they could go get an old Nissan Leaf and have enough left over to, put better batteries in there or something. it's going to reduce the deficit by about 300 billion, which should help with inflation. You know, we needed some infrastructure bills passed. We have to build stuff in this country. You can't be great unless you do great things, and improving and updating infrastructure is the best way you can make a kick-ass country. Period. So I agree with doing that. But money for Ukraine, Ukraine needs it. If you allow Ukraine to fall, Russia pushes into Western Europe, without a doubt. Putin is belligerent, and it's cheaper to send weapons and money to Ukraine than it is to send our carrier groups and soldiers. Because right now, we're just arms dealers. Ukraine needs arms, we'll sell it to them. They'll use it, and good for them. But if we jump in, then Russia hits that nuke button, and it's over. And if we let Russia take over Ukraine, they're going to genocide 40 million people and starve the world of grain. So, putting a rock in a hard place. And Blinken has been pretty genius in his approach, making sure that the Ukrainians get just enough and feeds them enough satellite intel so they can target all these ammo dumps and just show how unsophisticated the Russian military is. That if ever came down to a conventional battle between NATO nations and Russia, NATO would run full over the Russians. They wouldn't stand a chance. But it's that whole, well, they got nukes, and they might not be maintaining them well, but if like 1 in 8 of them make it somewhere, it's going to cause some damage. So, they got to tiptoe that line very, very, very delicately. Sad Boy Incorporated Houston, thoughts on AMC puts? I think there'll be some. I think they'll try to hammer the price down at some point this week. I don't foresee the price getting pushed another $5-6 higher for either GME or AMC today. Next week, yes. But I mean tomorrow. What day is it? For Tuesday. If it does go $6 higher, I think Delta Hedge comes in and it flies for the rest of the week. But if they can keep it below 30 for AMC and below 50 for GME, then I think they'll be able to do some short attacks and hammer the price down a bit before Friday. But next week is the issuance of the APE shares, and GME's got Ortex coming up, the T35 dates. I think both of those will fly next week. And then after that, probably get hammered down hard after the 19th. So I think it might be wise for some puts going into Friday, and if they drop a few bucks, get rid of them, swap over to some weeklies on Friday for calls, or something longer term if you want. And it might be a good way to see that sucker go up a few notches. If you can turn 10 calls into 20 puts, and those 20 puts into 40 calls, then you're working your way up. Although you might get yelled at for day trading by your broker, so be warned about that. Okay. Tomzok E, good morning from Germany, Houston. Let's see if the Europors are in good mood again. An early market opens in an hour. Okay, so that's you said at 10:33. So in 1 minute, let me know, Tomzok, what's happening. Sabo Incorporated, I've got a couple 23 AMC puts with a 33% chance of being it. Yeah, let's hope. Let's hope it goes woohoo, and then womp womp, and then woohoo, and we can capitalize on all of it. Okay. Lexington Productions, I'd love to know your thoughts about submerged continent of Zealandia. That is, I believe, we go here, we go there. Come on. Give me that Google Earth. Yeah, sweet, sweet Google Earth. I'll leave the hinge there. We're going to zoom out of the UK. We're going to fly to almost the antipodal of the UK. And it's this guy, I believe, is Zealandia, right? This whole thing? And then there's also a couple baby continents. This thing here is like a supermount, and then there's one else also in the North Pacific, I believe. Is it this guy? Or is it this guy? There's a couple of them that have just crazy flood basalts that came in these weird hotspots, but never quite made islands. So this is a huge chunk of continental shelf. It's hard to look at the globe all together, but we can see, you got the Mid-Atlantic Ridge where South America and Africa at one time were put together. And then you have Madagascar here, which separated from Africa. This little guy fit into that little guy. And you've got India, which was attached to Madagascar and was between Australia and New Zealand. And all of those fit in with Antarctica one time. You can see the Mid-Atlantic Ridge separating Antarctica from all these continents. And they were all together and they formed a thing called Gondwana land. And Gondwana land was an ancient continent, I don't know, 300 million years ago or whatever. And the continental shelf that makes up Oceania, which is the chunk that it represents New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, borders the islands of Indonesia and Australia. It's had trials and tribulations. New Zealand once split off of Australia, but since then the rift zone that was there seems to have dwindled, and so New Zealand is this big old chunk of continental shelf that kind of broke off of Australia. Australia doesn't really have too many active zones around it. You can see there's some like ridges in here and some fault zones, but most of the active zones are bordering and far away from the shelf. The edge of Papua New Guinea's got some crazy subduction zones, and then Indonesia, of course, has huge subduction zones, lots of earthquakes. But for the most part, Australia doesn't really have too many active sites. So all of this big chunk of land that makes up the outback is old craton. It's really old. It used to be mountains, 300 million years ago, but now they're just worn down and they're boring and there's not much there anymore. So Australia, geologically speaking, is pretty calm. Most of the action happened hundreds of millions of years ago, and for the most part, it's just like chilling like a villain. Whereas New Zealand is on the edge of the continental plate, and you've got volcanoes, you've got earthquakes, you've got island chains, all sorts. You can just see how many crazy trenches and island chains break off of here. So there's like a subduction zone, this island arc chain here that goes up through Tonga and up into Fiji and whatnot, and that's where the action happens. Australia's nice and calm. So anyway, Zealandia is this big old shelf. It's an ancient shelf that was formed 300 million years ago, and it just kind of submerged off the coast of New Zealand and just doing its thing. Does that help? I'm getting my error. YouTube's not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming happening. Comcast! Anyway. Looks pretty pixelated on my side. If I'm looking at the stream here. I apologize for Comcast's terribleness. Yeah, internet's struggling, man. I'm sorry. Oh, internet, you bastard. Okay. Where am I? Where was I? I was, That's Germany. That's asking about New Zealandia. Should the U.S. have built more dams 50 to 80 years ago for hydropower purposes? I mean, dams come with their own issues. One, they're renewable, so that works. The bad thing is it really affects the ability of fish to do their migration patterns. There's fish ladders some places. They do weird things along the Columbia where they have like fish elevators, or ones that they just like scoop a bunch of fish and then fire them out of a pneumatic cannon over the dams. They're pretty wild. And it can restrict flow to bottom parts of the river. It can make waters too cold. There's issues with dams, but like Washington State, we produce almost 100% of our energy with hydroelectric power, and then there's a bunch that we export to like California and stuff. And so if you have an electric car and you live in Washington, you actually have the most efficient electric car in North America, probably other than British Columbia, because none of the power is coming from coal-fired plants, gas-powered plants, or oil-fired plants, and it's all coming from hydropower. So you're getting, 135 miles to the gallon. Whereas if you buy an electric car in West Virginia, where everything is powered by coal, your electric car ends up getting like 20 miles to the gallon, an equivalent. And so it's like not as actually green as buying just a used fuel efficient car would be. And when you build dams, you flood canyons and valleys that have archaeological sites where people live and whatnot. So you got to look at that stuff and weigh it as a pro or con. Right now, all the dams along the Colorado are pretty much useless. There's no water. they use it all, and they're in the middle of a 1,000-year drought. So what good is the Glen Canyon Dam and the Hoover Dam if not enough water is going through to power enough hydropower to light your cities? And if you can't get enough water for your crops and your people, you're boned, man. Okay. Paratarian, the second I was the pre-market, I knew today was going to be special, but I didn't think we'd see Susquehanna be margin called to the tune of 48 billion. I still don't think that that's accurate, but it could be. But I think if Susquehanna got a $48 billion margin call, we would see some weird action happening. We'd probably see, a giant dumping of Bitcoin or something. We saw Bitcoin fly a little bit last night to 24, and I think it's at 22 right now. But you would see some of these cryptos either get pumped and dumped, or just dumped in general to generate cash to meet margin requirements. And we didn't really see that. So I'm not sure what Susquehanna would do to find enough margin for a debt of 48 billion. I don't know. I think it was probably Photoshop, personally. Okay. Paratarian, forgot to say thank you. A few people, that little explanation you made for my buddy's wife, went semi-viral through their social media circle and got at least 10 others to invest. All right. Look at me, going viral. Niche internet micro-celebrity achievement unlocked. Plush TD, me and my son are packing up now, and he said, thanks for the college advice and thanks for all you do. Also, man, good luck. Enjoy college. Enjoy it. Meet new people who want to do cool shit with their lives. And, I definitely have made so many lifelong friends during my forays through education, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I met some really cool people who are doing really cool stuff. People who are doing badass science, ones that are working with space companies, or killer engineers designing cool things, or, taking celebrities out to dive off Antarctica. Like, just people are doing cool stuff, and you'll be able to distill the ones that are doing cool things. And yeah, they're the folks that just go and get stoned and party the entire time. And there's that, but is that what you're gonna remember? Or are you gonna remember meeting rad people who do rad shit? I don't know. Those are the ones I tried to find. Bill Coyne, Houston, do you publish the days and times you're on? If not, would you? Not really. I mean, if it weren't so damn hot outside, I would be doing a daytime show if I could. But I had to do these night ones because it's just too warm in here right now. It'll be this coming week. It's supposed to start cooling down tomorrow, so maybe I'll get a daytime show for Wednesday. But I kind of announce maybe 30 to 45 minutes ahead of time if I can, if I'm doing a show. And today, I let out a warning around noon that was like, hey, it's going to be a nighttime show. It's too hot. And so I did that on Twitter. So follow me on Twitter, and you'll see if I'm going to be doing a daytime show or a nighttime show. That's the best way, I guess. And with charity shows, I don't always remember, but sometimes the charity show, I try to set it up the night before. So like if I'm planning on doing a charity show at 1:30 p.m., maybe at 10 o'clock at night, I'll set up the show and get it ready, and so it's up on YouTube. And then people will be jumping in the chat and actually start donating before I ever log in. So I can see a whole bunch of donations, which make me really happy to whatever charity we're raising money for. And this month I have no idea what charity we're raising money for. I haven't even thought about that yet. When is our final Tuesday of the month here? It'll be the 30th. Okay. So the 30th will be our Charity Tuesday this month. It gives us 3 weeks. Cool. All right, 3 weeks to figure out what our charity is going to be this month. Cheap and breezy, Houston. Thanks for the stream. Hope everything is green. There we go. And Rocket Mang says Revlon is ready to go. Revlon ready for liftoff. It's getting there. I don't know if they're going to let Bed Bath & Beyond do a little flying first before Revlon gets in there. I hope that the Revlon stock kind of stays flat for a few days and lets that implied volatility drop, so I can pick up some calls. Or maybe just dives down a little bit and I can pick up some more calls real cheap. That might be the way to go. Revlon has huge institutional ownership. They've had some good financial news come out of the bankruptcy court. And I think they're ready to squeeze, man. They're going to squeeze hard. And what's the price of Bed Bath & Beyond in a day tomorrow? Ooh, man, it was, what, close of after hours, it was like 13 something? Is that where we were? Revlon, or Bed Bath & Beyond, 13.28. So, not too shabby. 39% raise in the day and 16 after hours. Not too shabby at all if you've got your Bed Bath & Beyond calls or stairs. 20 bucks. If there's still gamma going for it. And from the after hours action, makes me think there's still gamma going. So we might see some more push tomorrow. And if it pushes even higher, it just put a whole bunch of calls in the money. And you're going to get delta hedging going into Friday. So Bed Bath & Beyond might fly all week. Might be the shining star compared to GME and AMC on the week. For two stocks that are going to be also doing pretty darn well. Okay. All right. Awesome Bell's got some coordinates for us all the way from Germany. 54 degrees north. Shabam, shabam, shabam. We're going somewhere. Where are we going? We're going to a bridge. We're at a bridge. We're at a bridge. Are we in a bridge in Germany or a bridge in Denmark? I wasn't really paying attention to where we were going here. Did we make it into Denmark, or is this the bridge into Denmark? Oh, we're still in Germany. Okay. So we're at a bridge. Go, 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 go. Ignore how bad the internet is. Give me some pixels. Okay. Rinsberger Schweibfar. I think I totally butchered that. Do I need to drop a man here? We've got a boat going through. Drop a little man right there. Right there. It said there was going to be a picture here. I don't see a picture. Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. We're under the bridge. There's the bridge. We got one of the green elevators. We got, it's a lovely view. Nice little park. There's people enjoying themselves in the park, not realizing they're going to be immortalized in Google Earth forever. Lovely. Is this where you are? This, find the ferry that never touches water. The ferry that never touches water? What? The ferry that never touches water. I don't even know what that means. Looking for a ferry boat that's just like stuck on the shore? Can't zoom. Can I go somewhere from here? there we go. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. That's some flying. Where do I gotta go? Ferry that never touches water. Shwam. Oh, that's as far as I can go. I don't even know what that means, man. No, I don't even know what that. Find the ferry that never touches water. Man. Oh. What's up there? What's that all about? Looks like they're doing painting or something. I am so confused. The ferry that never touches water. I'm the worst at riddles. I don't know. I'm going to have to give up. It's the gay guy in the park. I don't know. Purportedly stupid. Houston had birthday. I never really looked at options. Could you explain the difference between buy to open, buy to sell, etc.? Oh man. So with options, there's three things that can happen. One, you buy it and then you sell it, either for a loss or for a gain. You get cash out of it. Two, you buy it and it goes in the money and you execute, which will either give you shares for calls or give you cash for puts. Or three, it never goes in the money, you never sell it, and you have a giant loss that happens. You can do a rollover. You can take those calls and the value of them and roll them over to the following week. That's sort of like a discount on the next week's calls or later. That's kind of it. Some brokers, if you're on margin, will let you exercise the options and basically sell shares to pay the difference in the value and give you what's left. So let's say a stock's trading $100, price goes up to 120, and you've got calls for 110, right? So you gained $1,000 on that call in cash if you want to sell it, or you can have the option of buying those stocks at $110 when the price is 120. What the broker will do is they'll buy all 100 shares, sell off everything that it costs for that $10 difference in price, and give you 9 shares at the end or something. And so it's a way you can build up shares if you make the good calls and you've got a margin account that will allow you to do that. Does that make sense? I hope that is enough. That's kind of the 3 big ways that you can play options. 2/3 of the time, you lose money on them. That's just, I think I'm gonna bet big, and then just because that's the luck of the draw, and that's why we live where we live, and that's why we do what we do, because we are not lucky. But like every 5th time you play options, I seem to win big, and it makes up for all the crap that I got for betting wrong. So that's how I roll. I never play options with money that I'm not willing to lose, because if you can't sell it, or you're selling it for a loss, or it gets to the expiration date and you're not close, and you just go, well, nothing I can do about that, and that's that. That's what you have to kind of resign yourself to it. But 1 in 5 times, and it goes up a boatload, and you go, oh, that was so easy. And then the other 4 times, it's not easy. Okay. Where was I? Sorry, I just lost my spot here. Anna Rulnick, is there a place to fact check if a fund got margin call, or is it just rumor mill? It's all rumor mill until whoever did the margin calling does a press release days or weeks later. When Archegos got margin called, I think it was about a month until everyone found out about it. And they found out about it from the financial news reporting of like press releases from the 5 investment banks who got hosed on Archegos. And all of them were like, well, we're not going to meet our quarterly projections because Archegos just threw a wrench in the gears. And that is kind of how it rolls. My guess is if the market does really, really weird things, violent weird things that don't make any sense, then we're probably seeing margin calls happen. But we won't get official news from it until some later date when the prime brokers go, well, oops, our third quarter is going to be garbage. Sorry, because we just lost $5 billion on Tiger, a hedge fund or whatever. Hoshi Gaming, thoughts on Southern New Hampshire University? I'm graduating in a month for computer science and wanted to know what your thoughts are on the college are. Be brutally honest, please. I know nothing about Southern New Hampshire. I took a brief look during COVID, when I realized I wasn't going to be able to do my grad degree in Australia. I had hoped. I was looking at all sorts of online programs because I'm stuck in my house. I was looking at Southern New Hampshire, but they didn't really have any programs. I was looking at either doing a master's in economics or a master's in history, and I didn't really know which one. So they didn't really have a program that fit what I was looking for. One of my masters is online from American Public University, because there's basically two programs that offer a master's in space studies, which is essentially space mission planning. There's University of North Dakota, and there's American Public, or American Military. It's the same kind of college. And the American Public one, I had a friend who did it, and it was like, yeah, it was actually a pretty awesome program. And I had a friend that did the North Dakota one, and they said that it was not quite as tech savvy for the classes, so I ended up doing American Public. Like, some of it was like VHS cassettes you'd get in the mail, and that was your lecture. I was like, oh, I'm not bothering with that. It's the 21st century, man. You got streaming and Zoom and all that stuff. But Southern New Hampshire seems pretty tech savvy, and they seem to have the whole correspondence online thing down. But I don't know much else beyond that if you're looking to do like grad school through them. So I don't know enough. So might find somebody who did some degrees from there. Maybe, I bet there's probably a subreddit of folks that are either going to school there or went to school there, and you can probably ask them all sorts of questions. And you'll get, it was great, to, 1-star review, man. And you can just kind of weigh it that way, like an Amazon review, I guess. Okay. 1 and 1 makes 3. Aloha from the Big Island. Happy National Spam Musubi Day. Yep, they love their spam in Hawaii. World War II rations had a big impact on Hawaiian cuisine, and getting some like spam loco mocos or something today and just pushing that saturated fat. Just nom. All right, press the eyeball, Houston. Eyeball? Okay, so I am an hour behind in the chat. Way to go, Houston. Let's see if there's some things I can... Got Georgie in Estonia. Boys, girls, helicopters. Diaz went to Moab. Awesome. And Zion. Fantastic. Were you hiking? Biking? Rock climbing? Rock crawling? What are you doing in those places? Molly McWoolhead, how do you have facial hair so long? I grow it down 2 weeks and I hate it. This is, I don't know. When did I shave this off last? Last week sometime. Thursday? Friday? I don't know. A few days. I never like shave it clean. Only one day a year I actually shave it like down to the skin. And that's the 1st of December. No, I guess two days. 1st of December and 1st of November. The only 2 days a year I actually shave clean. Otherwise, I just put the clipper on the shortest and just take care of it in a few minutes, because I hate shaving. Michael McMinician, hoping AMC $30 contracts print this Friday. Excited for your video, 181. I am at 181, aren't I? Yeah. Let's hope everything prints, man. Let's print it all. Okay. Got Joshua Strauss in Germany as well. Got a lot of Germans in here today. Cody Field, Houston, do you think the early market pump was due to the Susquehanna margin call, or was it because of the Inflation Act that just passed? The Inflation Act is good for the market. I think that. Futures right now, right before I came on, futures are up. But pre-market stock trading, what we got here? What's happening? Yeah. Dow futures up, S&P futures up, Nasdaq futures up. So tomorrow doesn't look like the news of the no-knock raid at Mar-a-Lago has affected anything. So we're doing all right. Probably get some green tomorrow. I don't know what that means for our meme stocks, but my guess is that some of them will be having some gamma still. You're riding high on that, and before they try to push it down. And again, like if they get to the point where some of those $50 calls for GME and those $30 calls for AMC go in the money, then there'll be delta hedging, and I think it will fly for the rest of the week. But if not, then they're going to try and push it back down to keep as many shares from going in the money as they can. James Grant asked if I think BBY has got some more room for running. Yeah, I think it does. I think they've got some more gamma left in them, especially the evidence of how high they went after hours today. Like, there was a little push after hours for AMC and GME, but it was like the 20 cents. Like, they went, oh, I'm going to go over $24, and GME's like, I'm going to get over 44, and that was about it. But full 17% after hours for Bed Bath & Beyond tells me that there's a little bit of gas left in the tank for tomorrow. Berger's son, probably a lot of damning evidence in Alex Jones' phone records. Yeah. I just learned that, so his ex-wife got some of the, got access to those records, because I guess they'd asked for him in divorce court, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he was sending naked pictures of his wife to Roger Stone without her knowing. So there's probably a lot of damning stuff in there. So the intimate photographs or the intimate communication was apparently the swingers doing their swinger thing. Okay. Rob Lucky, buddy, you just got done talking to my close friend about mental health issues. I suggested a nice show called Ted Lasso because it's great for uplifting positive vibes. Have you watched it? I've not watched it yet. I don't have Apple TV. So I've not seen it yet, but I've heard fantastic things. I would like to get it because I also want to see For All Mankind because I like my space shows. So I'll get there eventually, just not there yet. Okay. Come on. Oh, there you go. There's the reset of the chat, and I just lost 6 minutes of the chat, so that's one way to fly forward. Okay. All right. JH says I'm excited for metamaterial earnings. When is their earnings? I'm not going to talk about it, so I won't. No. Never mind. Ignore me. Ignore me. All right. Okay, good. Some back and forth chit chats here. Let's see here. Well, I kind of figured mentioning that Trump got raided today would cause some ruffle feathers, but you know, that's it. That's nature. Sorry, I gotta scroll past a bunch of ruffle feathers here. Okay. All right. Two-wheel freedom. After reading all the info on how the DTCC is screwing over retail, I went full DRS and left a share in my broker to see how they handle this mess. By all means, go for it. I think it's interesting. Apparently, I didn't see this from Robinhood, but apparently someone said Robinhood said that this is going to be treated like a preferred share, and the ape share is going to be treated as a preferred share and be close only, which is not what you do with a stock that's going to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. That is not a preferred share of trading on the New York Stock Exchange. That is something that will trade back and forth and won't be close only. So I think Robinhood is tipping their hand, yeah, as to what the DTCC play is going to be for this ape share, and it's going to give legitimacy to any grievances Adam Aaron and AMC have about the issuance of the share and how it's dealt with by the DTCC. So yeah. Girk's not so hot neighbor. Houston, please remember that today is the anniversary of the great Dave Matthews Band Chicago River incident. Yes, 18 years ago today, the Dave Matthews Band tour bus went to sneakily dump 800 pounds of sewage into the Chicago River and dumped it on a bunch of people passing under the bridge. Can you imagine, like, oh, what a beautiful day. It's August. It's lovely. We're floating the Chicago River, and then just 800 pounds of Dave Matthews Band's shit rains down on you from above and just coats you with what I'm sure will be an omen and portent for the rest of your life. Satellite. All day, Texas. Pete, Houston, any other ramifications besides taxes? That if my dates are correct, if we get both APE and AMC for Friday 19th, the price drops in half by Monday 22nd, why not sell AMC only on Friday and 2 times Monday? I think if you sell on Friday, you don't actually get your AMC apes. I think you have to hold through the 22nd. Otherwise, if you sell Friday, your apes go to somebody else. I think that's what's happening. Don't quote me on, boy. Chakraseki, heard the FBI had to bring out their Roto-Rooter special team to extract classified documents from Mar-a-Lago septic tank that Trump flushed. Yeah. If you guys don't know, apparently plumbers had to come to the White House several times because Trump kept flushing White House documents down the toilet. Remember when he talked about, like, people have to flush like 14 times to get anything to go down? And we were like, what kind of dumps are you taking? They got to flush 14 times. I think he was just because it was like high tensile strength office paper. He kept trying to flush down there. And that's why they kept plugging the residency toilets with, government documents and stuff. Oh, and then Raphael T. just says, Houston, what's your thoughts on regarding Robinhood's recent restrictions on ape shares, i.e. you can't buy, only hold, or close? Yeah, Robinhood might get in trouble for this. If you are still in Robinhood with some of your meme stock holdings and they do shady shit, report them to everyone you possibly can. Because those stocks, I think, are fully intended to be tradable. And Adam Aaron, I think, fully intends for them to do so. Thus, his S1 filing asking for listing in the New York Stock Exchange. So it should not be hold only. It should be tradable, and it will be on exchange that Robinhood has access to. Robinhood trades on NASDAQ and trades on New York Stock Exchange. So those two are available to everybody for trading, and they should be tradable. They don't let you trade OTC. So when you get an OTC share of some kind, it becomes sell only because you can't buy. But if it's going to be listed in the New York Stock Exchange, it should be tradable fully, buy and sell. Mike Russo, FYI, I just got my July broker statement. My GME shares were given to me as a stock split, clearly stated in the line. Item, no dividend. It sounds like I'm not the only one. Some people sent me screenshots of their July statements saying exactly the same thing. I haven't looked at mine yet. Have my statements come out yet? I don't remember getting a notification if they have. I'll look. Yeah. If you have dividend or have stock split and not dividend in your statement, take a screenshot, send it to IR, Investor Relations, IR@GameStop.com, and say, hey, my broker didn't do what they were supposed to do, and they can use that as evidence if they ever need to say, I don't know, ask for their shares back from the DTCC. they need good reasons. And if there's millions of people sending emails saying, hey, DTCC screwed me and my broker screwed me as a result, that it would be evidence for them to be able to show. So yeah, send it to them. ir@gamestop.com. As this man Johnson Houston, wouldn't a subsidy in the auto industry just allow manufacturers to increase the price of vehicles by a subsidy amount? You'd think so, but with the fact that no one's buying cars right now and repos are going through the roof, making cars more expensive is not going to be the way you attract customers. I mean, I kept getting advertisements for a Jeep Grand Wagoneer at a local car dealership. They're like, only $105,000. Who the hell is going to pay $105,000 for a rebadged Dodge Durango? Like, $105,000 for a Grand Wagoneer. Are you kidding me? A, it's got terrible reliability. B, it's a gas guzzler. And C, it's a friggin' Jeep Grand Wagoneer. That is not a $105,000 car. I'm not going to take out an 80-month or a 100-month loan at $1,200 a month, which is the equivalent of a mortgage, to buy a Fiat. It's not happening. So these folks are going to find that as belts tighten from inflation, the price of cars are going to plummet. Plummet to the point that we might see things like in 2008 when they had to just destroy entire swaths of cars to protect the market. You remember Cash for Clunkers? And they wanted everyone to just get rid of all their old cars. Lost so many cool classics during Cash for Clunkers. And then, like, I wonder if it's still up on Google Earth. So, like, imports, like Hyundai was having problems selling cars, and they needed somewhere to put them. They were importing all these cars from Korea that got built, and they had no one was buying anything because the economy collapsed, and they had to put a whole bunch in Hoquiam, in Washington. Basically, the ships came in, just dumped them all, and they figured out how to destroy them all eventually later. But Port of Hoquiam, let's see here, or Aberdeen. I mean, Hoquiam, Aberdeen, same friggin' thing. Okay, where was it? Was it here? Might have been here. Let's see if we can go back in time. They have it. They have the time. Oh no! Wait, here we go. Okay, so we can go back to like 2009. 2009. They have it. Show it to me. Nope, not there. Maybe it was a little earlier. Nope, 2006. Okay, it's an old lumber yard, and they filled it up with a whole bunch of cars here. 2010. Oh, damn it. It's not there. I was really hoping. So there was footage, satellite footage at one time that showed this whole old lumber yard of this mill just full of Hyundais. They were waiting to be destroyed. And because they didn't know what else to do with them. Because they weren't going to buy them, so they might as well just take it as a loss. Kind of like how Warner Brothers won't release the Batgirl movie. They're just going to take it as a huge tax write-off. So Hyundai put a whole bunch of cars here and destroyed those, and I don't know. Survive another day, I guess. No, says that birthday, Houston. I love hearing you ranting about a wrong intro in the background. Mr. Art intro, huh? Well, thank you. I'm glad my incompetence brings joy to everybody. I am proud of last Thursday's show. I think was the first technically accurate show I'd done in a long, long time, where I wasn't bumbling around. It might be a while until I get another one. What show is that? 179. It's 179. Shall go down the archives and to the Hall of Fame. Should like take my cap and glove and send that off to the Hall of Fame as the first perfect show. 100 and whatever I have. Okay. Arguments about cars. Daddy 0357 Houston, you noticed Bed Bath & Beyond trade tries to float during regular trading hours, and the price only increased $3. Your thoughts? Because 70% of it went through dark pools, my guess. Oh, we got a dreamer twitching behind me right now, kicking the ottoman leg. Okay. It's a shame there's no Pangea Google Earth. I do wish that on Google Earth, you could slide that time scale and watch the continents move. That would be something. I have a friend that used to work for Google at Google Earth. I wonder if he's got connections there still. Give me a time scale Google Earth. I want to see the continents move around according to, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 40 million, 100 million, billion, whatever years ago. That'd be awesome. Okay. Noah says, I'm too humble to brag, but I did call the Green Monday last week. Well, Gamma, baby. Gamma comes, Gamma goes. How long it lasts, nobody knows. But you can always kind of say, like, okay, a whole bunch of shares went in the money. You're gonna have some Gamma on Monday. How long it lasts, though, I think depends on the price action of that Monday. If it seems like there's a really strong price action and a boatload of trading going on, and it doesn't really die off, then Tuesday can be big. And if Tuesday's really big, then it means Wednesday is going to be freakish, because that's going to be panic buying for delta hedging and possible margin calls for folks. Like if the stock flies $10, you're going to be seeing panics of people trying to close positions and whatnot on Wednesday. And if that holds over and they can't drive it down hard enough on Thursday, then a bunch of stuff closes in the money on Friday. Then you're looking at another big Gamma on Monday. So get the perpetual Gamma squeezes going, like tag team, baby. Reboot your dial-up. I know. My internet, man. Well, it says I got excellent connection again finally after giving me multiple warnings that my bandwidth was dog shit. But okay. Where am I? Jordan Kimmery, just put turbines on the edge of the earth where the water falls off. Problem solved. End of the world turbines. Brilliant. You have an infinite potential for turbine power. Yeah. Oh, got Grandpa Barney in here tonight. Fantastic, Grandpa Barney. Welcome. I haven't seen you in a while. Deadpool coming with drought. It's going to be really freaky to see dams without any water behind them. It's going to be wild. There is huge problems with the treaties for the Colorado River in that they've allocated more water than the flow of the river to various states that border the Colorado, and there's some problems with like how that water is allocated. In that, like, farmers get allocations of water, and if they don't use that water, they'll lose it. So they're enticed to use really water-intensive crops, like almonds, hazelnuts, pistachios, things like that just require a freakish amount of water. And because if they don't use it, they lose their access to that water forever. And so they just have to keep using more and more and more and more and more, which is causing huge draws against the population that's there. And it's leading to further droughts. And then you got the problem with, like, you're running out of water because there's not enough, so they got to cut back on allocations for folks. So they're tapping into the groundwater in the California Valley. The California Valley is losing elevation. It's shrinking as the groundwater gets pumped out, and is now like 70 feet lower than it was 100 years ago, which poses a problem. If you lower the California Valley below sea level of the Pacific Ocean, because it's not very high, 20, 30 feet above the Pacific Ocean in many spots, and all of a sudden it's lower than the estuary for the Sacramento River, then all of a sudden all that farm field becomes a new inland sea, a very heavily polluted, toxic inland sea. And that is a problem, especially with ocean levels rising, 3.5 millimeters a year, and that land lowering. Whoop! Eventually, you get to a tipping point. If you don't have a huge dike system around the outlet of the Sacramento River, then that's going to be a sea. All right. It's like watching Max Headroom glitching all over. I haven't heard Max Headroom reference in a long time. The last time I saw that guy in something, the guy who played Max Headroom, he was in the remake of Dawn of the Dead. He was the dad that turned, and his daughter was like, "Oh, Daddy, no!" And then, yeah. Okay. Abel, can you talk about Dr. T's tweet and what you think about it? No, because she blocked me yesterday. I stated that you can DRS shares, but they're still in the fast ledger at the DTCC, and she said, "Nuh-uh." And then I pulled up the outline, the PDF that ComputerShare gives to new customers, saying anything that happens with your shares is updated in the fast system with the DTCC. And then she blocked me. So I love Suzanne Trimbath. It's just that she was technically wrong about that. And then she blocked me, responding too dumb didn't answer. So, oops. Oh well. Frozen State production still working, so I'll watch the replay. How do spaceships like Han Solo's ship maintain gravity, or the spacecrafty in the film Alien before they land on the satellite? Anti-gravity. Sci-fi term for we're not going to tell you. And it's too expensive to make actors float around. So that's how they do it. The only way that you can accurately, there's two ways you can accurately, what is the term, simulate gravity in a spaceship. One is centripetal force. So you have a rotating environment that rotates just fast enough to create centripetal force so that you want to fly outwards at a tangent to the rotation, and that will give you the sensation of being in a weighted gravitational environment. Two is constant acceleration. So you can accelerate in speed at exactly 9.8 meters per second and give the illusion of being in a 1G environment. So as long as you're accelerating, then the ship is pushing against you and going faster and faster and faster. So if you got your ship layers, pointed towards the direction or perpendicular to the direction you're going, it's going to feel like you're standing in 1G environment. And vice versa, you can flip the ship around and decelerate at exactly 1G and slow down, and it'll still feel like, because then you'll be pushing against the floor of the ship, and it'll feel like you are in a 1G environment. That's pretty much the only way. Oh, Best Adult Dating Site is here. Oh, goodness gracious. Hey, Best Adult Dating Site. Again, I love that you're a loyal viewer and that you jump in here all the time. If you manage on our Charity Tuesday, I'm telling the truth here, if you manage to donate on our Charity Tuesday, I will let you have free reign of this chat. So if you show up on a Charity Tuesday and you give us a donation, you'll be able to post whatever the hell you want, and I'll let YouTube worry about it. So donate lovechat.xyz on our Charity Tuesday, and you can have a heyday on here. I'll tell the mods to just chill out and let you just XYZ love chat forever, as so long as you donate, baby. But for now, hide user on this channel. Okay. Okay. Where am I? Okay. Danny Hefe, charity money, send the homeless to Texas and Florida. Darren Hyatt, Houston, where you see GME in 3 months. Somewhere over the rainbow, perhaps on its way to the moon. Yeah. 2 Freedom says on Uranus. Maybe in Uranus? It was direct shot right there through the methane atmosphere and into a big old pool of water. Frozen State Productions. Still working so I'll watch the replay. How do spaceships... Oh, that's the spaceship one. Duh. We were to answer that one. Okay. Justin J, we're going to get a bunch of squeezes soon. I think you are right. Yes. Mike B, never forget the teachings of Ezekiel 23:20. She lusted after her lovers whose genitals were like those of donkeys and whose emissions were like that of a horse. The most poetic prose in the entire Bible. Beyond, go up on top, Baldy, or whatever those kids said to the bald guy. Oh, okay. G-Font has got an excellent spot for us. Where are we going? We're going somewhere in the east. Somewhere subtropical. Okay, Mr. Canada. Where are we going? We're flying. Going across the Pacific. We are in a little island. We are in a lagoon. A very dark lagoon. What is this? Kogani Monument? Where are we? Okay. Got fairly deep. Oh, Yanaguni. It's Yanaguni Monument. Yanaguni Airport. It's a little island out in the middle of nowhere, isn't it? So, let's see here. How far off mainland Japan are we? We're off Taiwan. So, Yoguni. Decent sized island. How big is this island? Come on. Don't move. Nope. Clear that. How big are you? You are 7 miles across, lengthwise? Okay. Alright. Clear that. Go away. Die. So, Yanaguni. Yanaguni Airport? Yanaguni Monument. Okay. Full article. Yanaguni Island submarine topography, also known as Yanaguni Island submarine ruins, is a submerged rock formation off the coast of Yanaguni, southernmost of the Ryukyu Islands in Japan. It lies approximately 100 kilometers east of Taiwan. Marine geologist Masaki Kimura claims the formations are man-made stepped monoliths. These claims have been described as pseudo-archaeological. Neither the Japanese Agency of Cultural Affairs nor the government of Okinawa Prefecture recognize the features as important cultural artifacts, and the government agency has carried out research has neither carried out research or preservation work on the site. A diving location for hammered sharks. There's some singular seabed formations resembling architecture structures. I've never heard of this pseudoscience stuff. Okay. Geologist Robert Schock believes it's most likely natural. Structural sandstones that make up the Yanaguni Formation contain numerous well-defined parallel bedding lines along which the layers are used to separate. The rocks in this group also crisscrossed by numerous sets of parallel, vertically oriented joints of the rock. These joints are natural. So what does it look like? Is this what it looks like? That's pretty. I mean, that's cool looking. It's really cool looking. It does look like engineered, doesn't it? But you can see these things are a little slaty, that they fracture and chip off according to their striations. But that's cool. I'd go check it out and see what that's like. Yeah, I dig it. Thank you. That is an interesting spot. But apparently there's an expedition. Sport diver, instructor, film crew for Channel 4 Discovery Channel. Go book on his dives it there. Estimated monument is 10,000 years old. So people are thinking, what, space aliens? He identified a pyramid, castle, roads, monuments, and a stadium. He further stated he believes the structures to be remnants of a Yamate culture. Okay. Well, I'll have to learn more about that. I like it. I like it. Okay. That's just a gambling problem. Billy, learn 1348, and for the only price of $96 a month, Review Dork will teach you to use well-known strategy while preaching about coke and hookers. Dan Summit, Houston, any chance RC new DTCC wouldn't deposit shares as dividend for stock split? And then Adam Aaron follows up with ape share count equals MOAS. I don't know if they colluded. They might get in trouble if they did. But if your goal is to expose market fuckery, they did it. They did exactly what they aimed to do. I'm sure we'll see all sorts of weird things happen with the ape shares. And I'm sure brokers and DTCC are like, okay, how can we fudge this and make it work? Oh my gosh. We're going to have to tell everyone that it's a preferred share and it's not tradable, and they will limit our ability to trade, and they'll make it sell only, hoping that we dump ours. Well, we won't. Don't. I know we're not supposed to collude in that factor, but don't. Hold on to your precious, and don't let them go, and let them just squirm. Let them squirm. Let them wriggle on that hook for a while. Mike Daniel, what's to prevent them from just making synthetic ape shares? You would never know there were synthetic shares of ape unless everyone sold at once. Every synthetic share of ape to match AMC. I don't know what would stop them from making synthetic ape shares. They may just, go bloink, and it'll be an IOU attached to whoever had created the naked or the FTD that wound up in your account in the first place. But that synthetic is already in default. So it's non-swappable. You can't swap a default. You can only close or cover. And so that is kind of a check mix. So any of those synthetics got made would not be allowed to be swapped. And we got the first coming up where a lot of these hedge funds won't be allowed to do anything on the derivatives market or participate in swaps without posting huge amounts of margin to begin with. And a lot of those family funds that have been messing with us as well, and we have no idea what their holdings are because they don't have to report anything, they may be squirming after the first as well, because they don't want to get blacklisted and not have the ability to do derivatives trades. And I'm very curious to see what happens with that phase 6 that's coming up. Okay. Jay Corn on the cob, 7 days off from work because I got the spicy cough. Aw, man. Well, you held out for 2.5 years. You made it that far, and you managed to only get it when there's a strain that's like 115 times more infectious than the original one. So, good on you. You made it as far as you could. But at least we got treatments for it now, and that is a plus. Okay. Diaz, Alex Jones is going to launch an OnlyFans account and make millions. Everybody come see a naked potato. A naked potato, everybody. I just can't believe that dude's only a couple years older than me. And younger than my siblings. He looks like shit. Absolute garbage. And I don't know how. Like, Brad Pitt is like 13 years older than Alex Jones. I just don't understand how you physically deteriorate that fast. Because, I mean, that dude looked like garbage when he was younger than me. Like, when he was like 35 years old, he looked like he was 60. and working on a coronary. I mean, his blood pressure must be like something that should go into record books. Andrew Dowell, morning Houston from Great Britain. Can you explain max pain is calculated? Max pain is not so much calculated as they just look at how many calls and puts there are. And they look at where the least amount of them will go in the money. So if you've got a whole bunch of puts at one end of the spectrum, hoping the price drops, you got a whole bunch of calls at the other end of the spectrum, hoping the price goes up. Somewhere in the middle, there's a price where the least amount of puts and the least amount of calls go in the money, and that's max pain. And that's what they look at. So if I can, I'll pull up see if I can pull up a graph here showing what that looks like. Oops. Investopedia probably have something here. Oops, let's turn off the Google Earth. Let's do the max pain. Show me, show me, show me, show me. You don't, give me a graph. Give me a graph there, Investopedia. Images, perhaps. Well, it's going to be max pain, but the friggin' video game. No, I want max pain. There we go. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay. So, this guy here, and monkey butt is in the way, so let's scroll a little bit. Okay, so you have puts on one side and you got calls on the other, and max pain is where the least number of both go in the money. So you might have a whole bunch, have a little bit of calls on this side, and a little bit of really high expensive puts on this side, but what you don't want is you don't want the stock price, say for whatever the security is that they're using as an example, to push up above and beyond, say, this 1,075 a share, because oftentimes this whole chunk of calls were sold without actually having the shares to make good on them. And it's going to force them to go out in the market and buy a bunch of them, or else they're going to be in default and face ramifications of liquidation. So you can't fail to deliver on calls at past a T+2. And vice versa, if a whole bunch of puts go in the money, a bunch of shares have to be found as well. So they don't want to go out and buy stuff. So that's basically what it is. It's just looking at the graph of how many calls there are and how many puts there are, and figuring out where the lowest point is for both is. And that's your max pain point. Okay. Jordan Kimmery, do we ever get an answer if options be traded on Ape? Not as far as I know. I don't think there'll be options starting out because you have to build up a pool of them. But there will be some big holders that might get Ape shares, you know, tens of millions of them. Your Fidelities and your, I don't know who else is long on it. But they might have the ability of generating some options chains. But it'll probably take a while. But they won't be able to do those options chains if they treat it as if it's a preferred share with close only. So you'll have no options chains. So, see how it goes. Bulldog Trading, you think DWAC will make any major move if when Trump announces run for president? I think DWAC is dead in the water. I don't think a federal judge and the FBI do a raid like they did unless they knew exactly what they're looking for, because they had inside information from an informant, for someone to turn state's witness, state's evidence. And if it is based upon taking documents that were federal property meant for the National Archives, and either destroying, hiding, absconding with them, literally the federal law is you cannot run for office or hold office. So if it's that, he's done. He can't run for president. If he can't run for president, then what's that mean for DWAC and Truth Social, which, let's face it, not being used that much. I think it folds, or they try to find somebody to sell it to or something. I like tip my hat to my waitress. I like to tip my hat and my waitress. There you go, Trace. Spider. Ugh. Mixing my metaphors constantly. Oh, the love chat come back again? All right, love chat. Let's. Oh, you were hidden. How did you come back? I hid you already. That is incredible. You have somehow defeated my hiding you button and made an appearance again. Alright, where was I? True Seeker, Cash for Clunkers got rid of better built autos, and we're building now 877,000 of them. And the UK did one too and got rid of some really cool Alfa Romeos. I mean, they're not well built, but I always love Alfa Romeos because they're just the weirdest looking cars. Yeah. A lot of classics went missing for Cash for Clunkers and whatever the UK version was. But man, yeah. Camel got run over by a reindeer. Hillionaire, have you noticed that when AMC is rallying, Adam Aaron tweets or does an interview and the stock drops 8 to 10%? Does he have any interviews scheduled for tomorrow? Might want to look out. First name, last name, Houston, have you ever won any real estate auctions? Yes. I actually have a piece of property out in Westport that I got at a real estate auction. And I had one that was on Whidbey Island that I was hoping to... I have talked about this one in the past. Come here, Google Earth. Oops, let's go... Gimme. Let's go back to Google Earth. Let's fly from the Western Pacific and let's go to the Eastern Pacific. Go to the Eastern Pacific to the Pacific Northwest. That's... always sounds weird when you say it that way. Whidbey Island. This wiggly island right here. So I got a piece of property that was across. It was up on a bluff and across the street from the water, on Driftwood Way. This guy here. Driftwood Way. Oops. Yeah, Driftwood Way. So, this is an old photo. This is pre slide. So, Driftwood Way. There's a house here. I bought this piece of property. It's about a third of an acre across the street from the water, up on the bluff. Great views. You can see Canada. You can see Olympic Mountains. You can see the shipping channel. Awesome western exposure. And I got it for like $1,000 at auction because it was some sort of tax auction. And it was in 2008 and 2009. 2009? Yeah, April 2009. And I was going to sit on it. Like, okay, no one's building houses right now, but in like 4 or 5 years, they'll start building houses. Someone want to pick that up for me for $150K, put a big old house with big windows looking out over everything. And I bought the property sight unseen, and I finally drove out and I went to look at it to go get the soil perked and everything. And all the trees were like really bent. Like every single tree was bent the same direction, which tells me slope creep. So as the slope slowly degrades and goes downhill, the trees are desperately trying to remain upright, so they get these huge bent trunks. So if you ever see property for sale with huge bent trunks like that, don't get it. You are on a doomed slope. And so Puget Sound is built on the stuff called Lawton clay. And when the glaciers came out of Canada, so these glaciers came down out of Canada, came down the Straits of Georgia and into the Puget Sound, they basically built a huge dam that went across this whole region and blocked off any outflow of the rivers and made these giant lakes. And these huge lakes covered the area during the ice ages and just laid down tons and tons and tons and tons of silt, which turned into this really fine, really nice clay, like you want to make stuff out of it, bricks or terracotta or ceramics or whatever, and just like hundreds and thousands of feet of clay. And so then a whole bunch of sand and rock got dropped up on top by the glaciers as they moved further south, and there you go. Now, the clay itself is fairly impenetrable to water seepage. So the water will go through the glacial tillets on top and then pool on top of the clay. And if you have the right tilted clay, that whole block can just kind of slide like a slide into the water. And I was hanging out at my mom's house 2013, and my best friend gave me a call and was like, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm like, "Fine." And he said, "You still have that property on Driftwood Way?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm thinking of selling it soon." And he's like, "Turn on the news." And I was like, "Oh, uh-oh." And let's see here. Yeah. Here we go. So, this was my property. My property was this one right here. It was on the slope, but it was still buildable, and it was now in Admiralty Inlet. There's an old guy in this house, and he was in the house. He felt the land moving, and he ran out to his car with his dog, got in the truck, and the whole thing just slid out in Admiralty Inlet. And he had to get rescued by helicopter, he and his dog, because there's no way to cross this chasm. But yeah, so you can see this cut here where all the groundwater got behind the clay and just shrunk. The whole thing just slid into the ocean. Oops. That one didn't work out. I wish I'd offloaded that thing a year earlier for cheaper than 150K, which I was holding out for. So I ended up donating the deed to a land conservancy because no one's allowed to build here anymore. The homes are all condemned, and Driftwood Way no longer exists. But that was one of my properties. I had that. Don't have it anymore. Don't. So yes, I have won several auctions. I've flipped some. I've the property in Westport for a while. I was like during the Great Recession, I would put it on eBay for a bid. It'd say the property is $10,000, and whatever the winning bid is the down payment, and then I would do owner financed. And people would buy it. They give me the $3,000 or whatever was their bid, and then I'd send them a mortgage, a whole mortgage contract, owner financed, and then they would send me $200 a month for the next whatever number of years, and then 6 months later they just would stop paying me. So I'd foreclose and I put it up on eBay again. I did that several times. No one ever just bought it outright. They would pay for a while, and then something would happen. They'd just stop paying. So that's always something you can do. All right. I can't believe there's almost 400 of you hanging out with me at midnight Pacific time. Well, I guess all the Germans invasion here. Germans have invaded. Okay, I got to scroll past all the best dating sites. Mike Daniel, what happens if you turn a light source off and the speed of light, off and on at the speed of light, could you limit how far light travels? So you're flicking it off and on at the speed of light. So you're just going crazy on the off and on switch, really just pleasuring that light switch. Well, light would still travel. So the minute a photon leaves, it will travel until it hits something. That's as far as it goes. So if you're turning off and on, you're basically just strobing the photons, and they're leaving at the speed of light, and they're hitting something just at incredible rates. If you think about it, there are lights that kind of do that. If you have alternating current, you got electric current passing back and forth, technically there's a vibration of that current. If you do it fast enough, the light stays on sustained because the heating element or whatever you're using for it won't ever get cool enough for eyeballs to notice. But yeah, the light still travels the speed of light, and it still goes as far as it needs to until it hits something. And that's how it works. Lots of people still want me to ask Houston opinions on the margin call rumors. I don't think Susquehanna got margin called. If they did, it would be way bigger news than rumors on and they'd be writing articles about it. You'd see it popping up in CNBC. I think it was probably a Photoshop. You keep deleting dating sites. I'll find my MOS wife. RussianBride.com, where you can get your wife and lose your fortune at the same time to Russian mafia. Taiwan is awesome. I have not been since I was a kid. My dad helped design some of the subway stations in Taipei when I was like, what was that? I was 9. It has come a long way since then. I've only seen pictures, but the construction that happened after the 99 earthquake is phenomenal, and the infrastructure has improved so greatly. But I remember open sewers as a kid, and I think it's improved greatly in the 30 plus years since I've been there. I'd love to go back and see everything. The mountains in Taiwan are beautiful. the forests and stuff and the lakes up there, absolutely gorgeous. And there is, so Taiwan there's an indigenous population in Taiwan that had been there, for tens of thousands of years. And because of Chiang Kai-shek and all of the partisans who had to flee to Taiwan to avoid being slaughtered by Mao, they literally pushed those people into the mountains. And so there are still native Taiwanese populations there, but they've been overrun by Han Chinese who fled mainland China since then, much like many Pacific Islands out there. Bleh 8319 or Bleh. Houston, when this is all over, do you think that family offices will have to disclose more data? How would someone even begin to investigate them now? Yes, I think they will. I think we'll see a bunch of people who are highfalutin billionaires get vaporized instantaneously, and they will have nothing. They'll have beyond nothing. They'll be living off of annuities and whatnot, and they've been running their family offices and getting tax breaks and having to report any of their holdings and manipulating boards of companies and all sorts of stuff. And all of a sudden, they're going to get margin called, and they will have nothing. And they'll be facing fraud charges and all sorts of stuff. These family offices, I think, really have to look long and hard at exactly what the Phase 6 rule means for September 1st. And if they have these huge obligations because they shorted too much, and they've been surviving on doing debt swaps every 35 days on whatever they are short on, and all of a sudden after September 1st, they cannot do a debt swap because they can't come up with enough cash to meet the margin requirements, then they're going to be bag holders. They're going to be left holding the bag when these things hit T35 and facing forced liquidations. AMC Bigums, I think, did some good work digging into this. The $50 billion limit for derivatives trades happened in September, which would have still missed Archegos. Archegos had $30 billion in derivatives trades, and they would not have hit that limit. And it's going to push hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of smaller hedge funds and family firms into this realm, and they're going to have to meet margin requirements. I don't think a lot of them are prepared for it. I don't think they've got the cash available. I think they've been shrinking. They've been having a real hard time this year with the Dow and the S&P dropping. And I think a lot of them are facing comeuppance in September when T35s come up for their short plays. They can't do a play. They can't do a trade. Margarine? No, butter. NWB Houston didn't used to hate AA. How has Ape changed things for you? I'm giving him benefit of the doubt. There's still a nagging suspicion in my mind he's going to do something that's going to benefit the short hedge funds. I'm trying to ignore that. That nagging suspicion that's back here is the fact that AMC is reserving 4.5 billion authorized Ape shares that could possibly be sold later. Now, I totally get the impulse because Adam Aron and AMC have $5 billion in debt that they've got to figure out how to get rid of. And if you sell 4.5 billion Ape shares to a bunch of short hedge funds for just a bit more than $1, you can pay off all of your debt and be debt free. And that is a huge what would be the term I'm looking for, Monkey? The word Monkey. I'm leaving my brain right now. Incentive. Duh. Having a stroke, apparently. A huge incentive to, or motive, or whatever you want to call it, to sell those things. But I am hoping that he doesn't do anything about that until the post T plus 90 on the dividend. So not until like December does he do anything about that. Waits for the sucker to go absolutely bonkers, shows us just exactly how many synthetics are out there, and then when the price goes nuts and it's causing AMC to fly and all other things, then they can sell a few of those 4.5 billion, and it will, pay off their debts. Okay. Raider Bo, thoughts on Lori Lightfoot and how Chicago's doing? I don't know enough about what Lori Lightfoot's doing in Chicago. She is one of the strangest looking human beings I've ever seen in my life, though. I'll tell you that much. Chicago's fine. Humid. Okay, we're back to more dating, love chat sites. Scroll. Non-stop calzones and cannolis, Alex Jones. Raider Bo, thoughts on Cali trying to force hotels to house the homeless? Apparently ending that program. Alameda County was doing that in Oakland, and the program is ending, so the last people are leaving. I don't think the solution is to force hotels to house the homeless. I think the solution is to build homes and put people in homes. So hotels, perhaps a temporary solution, but that's not a sustainable business practice for the hotel or for anyone else. Get homes to people who need them. Section 8 vouchers should be much more available than they are. And there needs to be more properties that can take them. Or, homes built by the government or whatever. And we need to have every single solitary county or major city in the United States needs to have at least one bed per 500 citizens for mental health institutions. Have just every county in the United States have at least one bed for mental health care. And we need to do a program that pays for education, that supports people to enter the mental health field, social work, psychiatry, psychology, counseling, substance abuse counseling. We need to have more people in these programs to help address the fact that we've got 1 in 600 folks have psychosis, and they're living on the street, and it's not helping anybody. There is something to be said about going through town or a city and not having to see the trauma that is people living on the street because we don't have a support system. We need to have the mental health care available for these folks. And the thing is that they don't have health insurance. Why? Because they're unemployable. And if you're unemployable, you don't have health insurance. You don't have a permanent address, you can't get your Medicaid. You can't get Medicare. You can't get anything you need. And we need to have a better healthcare system in this country. And we need to be able to get them the help they need, get them the medication they need, get them the treatment they need. And some folks, their psychosis is so bad, they should not be out in society. They should be in a safe environment where they're not vulnerable to robbery, violence, anything else. And we need to actually take care of folks in our country. John Kennedy was trying. He had passed a bill in 1963 to basically put community health centers for mental health centers in every single solitary community in the United States. And before Congress funded it, he got assassinated. The Congress went, well, we're not doing that. And then in 1980, Jimmy Carter finally got the funding for it to build these community centers, these community clinics all over the country to house the mentally ill and get people treatment. And the idea was, there were these major hospitals, like each state would have a huge hospital that just housed thousands of the mentally insane, those suffering from psychosis and everything else. But they're so far removed from their families. They're out in the countryside somewhere. And, John Kennedy's sister was in and out of institutions her entire life. And he recognized the importance of having these things closer to families so they can visit and visit with their family members who are suffering. And it gives a better ability for the community to give a watchful eye on the care that their loved ones are taking are getting. And so in 1980, Jimmy Carter finally got the funding to build these things. And one of the first things, like day one, inauguration day, that Reagan did was he killed the entire thing. When Reagan was governor in California, he basically destroyed the mental health systems in California, the state-run hospitals, and almost exactly like you had people in mental health facilities and you had your prison population, homeless population. It just went wonk to the point that 55% of the homeless in California have psychosis, have diagnosable psychosis. 55%. They should not be on the street. We should not be forcing them to try and scrounge for a living or put up with these things. They're ill. They need treatment. If you want to solve homelessness, you get them the help they need and you get them houses. It's that simple. I've talked about it before. The city of Seattle, $200 million of the city budget goes to fight homelessness. $200 million of the $400 million police budget goes to fight homelessness. And then there's another $900 million in charity work that goes to fight homelessness. And we still have 12,000 homeless in the city of Seattle. We are spending, the citizens of Seattle, through donations and taxes, are spending $108,000 a year on every homeless person in Seattle. Just give them the fucking $108,000, man. Like, let them buy all the drugs they want so long as they can pay their rent. Done. Problem solved. So, you just putting up in a hotel for a while is not going to fix the problems. They need to be addressed their trauma needs to be addressed, their mental health needs to be addressed, their substance abuse needs to be addressed. And everyone else who's working homeless, they just might not be making enough money at whatever dead-end job they have, and they just can't support their family. They're living in a car or a bus or whatever. Those folks, you get them a home, and emergency room visits drop. They don't get staph infections. They don't have other weird illnesses as a result of like not having sanitation. So yeah, it's something that we can fix, and other countries have figured it out. But we just haven't had the balls to just do it yet, man. We need to just do it. Yeah, it'll cost us a fortune at first, but homelessness is already costing us a fortune and not achieving anything. So let's do the right thing. Let's get everyone health care and get them treated. That was episode number 2 or number 3, Monkey? Was the one I talked about this. Anyway, go back to my recorded episodes from May or June of last year. I did a whole half an hour episode on how to solve homelessness, and basically it's universal health care. Done. Homelessness solved. And we just saved tons of money by doing it. Okay. Alright, I've got a few minutes left here. I'm cut through a ways. I'm only 20 minutes behind. Let's see if I can catch up in time for midnight, and then we can be done. Alright. Michael Steegs, Houston, just woke up. What do you think the price timeline for the ape ticker? I don't have a clue. I think to get acceptance to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange, it has to be at least $4 as its IPO. I think that's the rule. I might be wrong about that, but I think that's what it is. And whatever value ape opens at on Monday the 22nd, it will subtract from the value of AMC. So if it opens at $4, AMC goes down $4. If it opens at $10, AMC goes down $10. And then they trade independent of each other after that. So the price for ape can go to $1 million, and AMC can stay at $25, or AMC can go to $1 million and ape can stay at $10, or it can drop 20 cents or whatever. But they'll trade independent of each other after Monday, but they will open exactly however much AMC was worth on Friday. They will split the difference between them and rectify it that way. But I don't know what the opening price is going to be. I have no clue. I haven't seen anything reliable stating what that opening price will be. Some people are assuming it's going to be half and half. So if AMC is $30 on Friday the 19th at close, then you'll have $15 ape, $15 AMC, and it'll run from there. Liz Clayman, you can't get can't get title insurance on tax sale properties for at least 10 years, so it's harder to resell or get a bank loan for them. Yeah, it's true. That's true. That's why you gotta flip it, like for cash. Arthur Martin, which is better, military fatigues for 2 agility or army fatigues for 1 strength and 1 agility? Is this a video game thing or like an Army Dungeons and Dragons thing? I don't know. I don't know. Let's game as much as I am back, so long as no one puts me down for using emojis. Use all the emojis you want, baby. Emoji it up. Alright. Latuka Smew BBBY flying in German pre-market. Okay, well, we get our pre-market in an hour. That opens up in an hour. Alright. Oh, gallstones. Liz, get better. My dad, when I was was in college still, and my uncle had just passed away. He's about 10 years older than my dad. I have an old dad, and my dad was feeling awful. He was feeling like he's run down. He's like, well, it's my time too. I'm in my 70s. I'm gonna die, and that's gonna be it. And he was like saying his goodbyes. He redid his will, and my dad was born and raised Christian Scientist, so he didn't ever go to the doctors and believe in going to the doctors, except for the times he would, got a kidney stone, passed out, and woke up at the hospital or whatever. But he was like, that's it, I'm done. My little sister was still like a freshman in high school, and my mom, who's a nurse, they're long divorced. My mom was like, you need to go to the hospital, man. Just go to a doctor, figure out what it is. You have a daughter who hasn't even left high school yet. You cannot die. Just don't. Just live longer for your girl. And my dad was like, fine. Went to the hospital. And the doctor's like, oh, gallstones. Had surgery, removed them. And he was like, oh my God, I feel like a new man. And that was it. And then my little sister put them in a Ziploc bag and mailed them to me in a care package. I was like, I got this care package. And the weird things are expensive in Hawaii. Sunscreen is expensive. Neosporin's freakishly expensive. And Cheerios, or Honey Nut Cheerios, are freakishly expensive. So my family always sent me Honey Nut Cheerios, sunscreen, and for some reason Neosporin. So I got this 2-day express service package or whatever. And I open it up, and there's a box of Honey Nut Cheerios. Cool. There's a little thing of sunscreen. Awesome. There's a little thing of Neosporin. All right. And then there's this plastic bag with 2 wet rocks. And I was like, what the hell is this? And there's a little letter. And it's like, oh, I hope you have a good time in college. There's a little care package, blah, 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 blah. And they gave you dad's gallstones. It's like, ah! Yeah, that one cracked me up. 14-year-olds are hilarious. Okay. Whoa, 17.6% pre-market for Bed Bath & Beyond Germany. Bed Bath & Beyond is running, baby. We're probably going to get some delta hedging happen at Bed Bath & Beyond, so we'll probably run for the rest of the week if that's the case. Jordan Kimmy almost got arrested once for strobing photons. But best of luck, Liz, with those gallstones, man. If you gotta get the whole gallbladder removed, that's awful. So yeah, I hope you can avoid that. Bad Bones woke up to go pee. Houston's live. Welcome. You get me for a few more minutes. It's past midnight right now, but I'm gonna try and scroll down, do a couple more, and then bounce for the night. Stock versus thoughts on how Ryan Cohen should approach dividend problem with brokers. Does he want retail to make noise on DTCC? Yes, I think he does want retail to make noise. I think he's got good authority to go to the DTCC and say, "Hey, fix this," and point out the individual broker and say, "Fix this. It is a dividend, not a split. You're doing it wrong. You're violating our contract. We did not file for a split. We filed for a dividend, or for not filed for a forward split. We filed for a split via dividend, and honor that. And if they don't, he has every right to say, "Give me my shares back." There's a reason why in their prospectus last year they announced they reserve the right to withdraw their shares from the DTCC. Full GME marketplace is live. They've got the ability to trade lots of things on there, and I would bet they have a beta specifically to trade, say, a blockchain-based stock. Because why wouldn't you develop that, right? Why would you get the top blockchain developers in the entire world to come to Grapevine, Texas, and not put them on something rad like that and revolutionary? So I think it's 50-50 shot of it happening, but I think they've got good motive to withdraw their shares from the DTCC. why can't churches house the homeless? I think some of them do, but most of them are in it for the tax breaks, I think. Phil Scribb, let's raise taxes and have more programs. Well, actually, it would reduce what you pay. So if you're paying, on average, Americans pay $11,000 a year per person for health insurance between Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance. $11,000 a year per person. And if you look at another country that has a national healthcare system, has universal healthcare, they pay on average $3,000 per person. So you would save almost instantaneously $8,000 a year to and just insurance. Plus, you wouldn't have to have all of the programs you need to deal with problem homeless and drug abuse and everything else that comes with it. Crime, police. You reduce your spending on crime, police, and all sorts of things as a result of housing the homeless and getting them the help they need. So that's a big thing. You'll save money, a huge amount of it. It comes down to $15,000 per worker in the United States would just vanish in having to be paid. So can you imagine Microsoft, GM, Amazon, Walmart, whatever, all of a sudden not having to pay $15,000 per worker in benefits, because that's how much they save on not having to provide health insurance for workers. And suddenly, those unions, those workers, they can be like, hey, pay me $15,000 more a year in cash, right? Your pay goes up by a huge amount. Also, what about the incentive? What if Microsoft splits the difference? They say, okay, we'll give you a $10,000 a year raise, and we'll give that $5,000 to our shareholders. Right? Who doesn't want more profit for their company? Less expenses on labor. Labor benefits by having more cash and getting covered for every ailment they have by a national healthcare system, and the companies have more cash on hand. 1/3 of our budgets, of our school budgets. So we talk about, we're paying $10,000 per student per year, and it's more expensive than it is in France, where they're paying $8,000 per student. We get nationalized health care. All of a sudden, school districts are paying $6,000 a year per student. Why? Because 1/3 of their entire budget is health insurance for their employees at school districts. That's it. It's 1/3 of their entire budget. So if you removed the need for 1/3 of that budget because you're paying much lower rates for a national healthcare system and just coming out of people's paychecks, all of a sudden you can see how far behind in funding per student we are compared to every other nation on earth. You remove the need of private health insurance, all of a sudden these students across the country are actually at a detriment in money spent per student across the country. So national health care is the cure to almost every societal ill we have. Homelessness, drug use, violence, poor education, lacking pay for workers. People can't retire because they've got to supplement Medicare and all sorts of things. Just make a national system. If you're sick, you go, you show up, you get your treatment, and you go home. That's it. Don't have to worry about deductibles, whatever. It's just taken care of. It's a much cheaper system. It works better, provides better service. The doctors get paid just as much. The nurses get paid just as much. You reduce the amount of overhead because administrators. There's 800,000 doctors in the United States, including hospitals and insurance companies, 2.1 million administrators. You won't need any of them anymore. Poof, gone. Same thing with colleges. You just pay the tuition of colleges through tax dollars, and you eliminate the administrative overhead that's there to process FAFSA federal funding. They're gone. Poof, done. You just saved hundreds of billions of dollars across all the colleges in the country. Just streamline this shit. It's so much easier and cheaper and works longer. It doesn't saddle people with debt. 76% of bankruptcy is the result of medical care. 76%. We can eliminate 76% of bankruptcies that happen every year. 700,000 bankruptcies that happen every year that are a result of medical debt. Getting sick is an inevitability. Having an accident is an inevitability. You break your toe and all of a sudden all your savings are gone because your deductible is $15,000 because your insurance sucks because you have a crappy job and you can't afford a platinum plan or whatever. Just fix it. Do what everyone else in the world does and just go, all right, you're covered. All these hospitals are owned by the government. Done. If you're sick, show up, get it. That's it. It's bam. Yeah. Hope Moss happens so he can afford to move the socialist country of his choosing. Jordan, I am willing to bet. I will bet you $1,000 cash that you're going to have a medical event some point in your life, and you will not be able to pay that bet. That's what I am betting. That's I will bet you $1,000 cash that you won't be able to pay that bet in the future. All right. Okay. On that note, there you go. That's it. That's it for me tonight. Got 2 hours and 10 minutes in. I will see you guys Wednesday. Hopefully it'll be cooler on Wednesday. I can do an afternoon show. It's supposed to start cooling off tomorrow, so I hope it's not 1,000 degrees in this room again during the day. Yeah, so cool. It was a pleasure, folks. I hope we get all of our greens we need tomorrow, and we rock her like a doctor. Right? Okay. Here's your present. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Bam.